The night I died, it wasn't the fire or the bullets that broke might, it was Ethan's eyes, cold and unflinching, watching as I fell. And now, standing here breathing again in a world that swore I was gone, I want only two things: vengeance on the man who betrayed me, and the chance to claim back the boy whose hand I once thought would never let go. Adrian Pierce was never supposed to rise again. 3 years ago, his name was carved onto the marble wall of fallen heroes, a reminder of sacrifice. Yet here he was, heart pounding beneath the weight of new scars, carrying an Omega's mark that burned like a curse. In this world where alphas ruled with sharp jaws and ruthless instincts, where Omegas were bound by biology and law, Adrian's survival was more than unnatural, it was defiance itself. He leaned against the cracked brick wall of a rundown motel, his breath fogging the cold night. The city of New Haven pulsed with neon and shadows, the kind of place where sins bred quietly and justice turned a blind eye. He knew somewhere within this maze of steel and smoke, Ethan Hart was alive, his Ethan, the beta soldier who once fought beside him, who once whispered loyalty in the dark, who had watched him burn. But what Adrian could not forget, and could not forgive, was the man who orchestrated it all, Commander Vaughn, the alpha who had once been their leader, their protector, the one who had condemned Adrian to flames for reasons buried in secrecy. Adrian's fists tightened. His second chance at life wasn't mercy. It was war. Ethan Hart hadn't smiled in years. Not a real smile. His lips might twitch in front of his students because life after war had reduced him to a high school history teacher, but behind closed doors, shadows haunted his every breath. He'd seen too much, lost too much. And Adrian was the wound that never closed. He remembered the screams, the fire curling against a midnight sky, and his own paralysis as Vaughn's soldiers dragged him back. He remembered Adrian's gaze-piercing, accusing before everything was swallowed by flame. Ethan had told himself 1,000 times that Adrian was dead. He told himself that nothing could bring back what had been stolen. But when he left school that evening, clutching papers in one hand and exhaustion in the other, a figure leaned against the lamppost across the street. Tall, broad-shouldered, familiar in a way that made Ethan's lungs stop working. "Ethan," the man said. His voice was smoke and gravel, but the ache in it was unmistakable. Ethan froze. His papers slipped from his grip and scattered across the wet asphalt. Couldn't be. Couldn't. Yet as the man stepped forward, the streetlight caught the scar running across his jaw. The same scar Ethan had kissed years ago in secret. "Adrian," Ethan whispered, and the world he had carefully stitched together tore open. Adrian hadn't planned their reunion this way. He had envisioned something more controlled, less raw. But standing face to face with Ethan, he realized plans meant nothing. Time hadn't changed him. If anything, Ethan was even more dangerous to his heart now, with those gentle eyes that looked at him like a wound reopened. "You're not real," Ethan said, his voice trembling. "You're dead." "Not dead," Adrian answered. His tone was rough, desperate. "Not yet. Not while I have unfinished business." Ethan shook his head, backing away. "This is some sick trick. Vaughn did this, didn't he? He's trying to break me." Adrian reached forward, grabbing Ethan's wrist before he could pull further. The touch was electric, 3 years gone. Yet his body still remembered. "No trick," Adrian rasped. "I'm here. I came back for him. For you." The silence between them was heavy, cut only by the rain tapping against pavement. Ethan's chest rose and fell rapidly, his pulse beating against Adrian's palm. And then Ethan whispered, almost broken, "Why now?" "Because I won't let Vaughn win," Adrian said. His voice cracked under the weight of truth. "He took everything from me, from us, and I swear, I'll burn him to the ground. But I can't do it alone." Ethan's eyes flashed with the war of his heart, the soldier who knew better, and the boy who once belonged to Adrian. He swallowed hard. "You shouldn't have come back." "Maybe not," Adrian admitted. His hand lingered on Ethan's, unwilling to let go. "But I did. And I won't leave you again." The days that followed blurred into a storm. Adrian hid in shadows, gathering fragments of Vaughn's empire. Rumors whispered of weapons deals, hidden laboratories, Omegas experimented on like cattle. The city had grown darker in Adrian's absence, and Vaughn's power thicker. Ethan tried to resist him at first, tried to slam doors, walk away, deny the thrum in his chest that pulsed whenever Adrian was near. But Adrian was relentless. Not in words because words had failed them once before, but in presence. Silent, steady, scarred. One night, as thunder split the sky, Adrian slipped through Ethan's apartment window, rain dripping from his hair. Ethan stood at the kitchen counter, startled but not surprised. He had expected this. "You can't keep doing this," Ethan said, voice tight. Adrian stepped closer. "You think I can stay away? After everything?" Ethan's hands trembled as he gripped the counter. "You died in my arms. I watched you burn. Do you know what that did to me?" Adrian's eyes softened. He crossed the distance, standing so close Ethan could feel his warmth despite the storm outside. "Do you know what it did to me?" Adrian whispered. "To realize the only thing I couldn't let go of was you." Ethan looked up, breath caught between fury and longing. "You don't get to say that. Not after 3 years. I'll say it every day until you believe me," Adrian said, and for the first time, Ethan didn't pull away when Adrian's fingers brushed against his cheek. The touch was hesitant, fragile, but real, the kind of touch that could rewrite history if they let it. But beneath the fragile rekindling, danger thickened. Vaughn had eyes everywhere, and whispers of Adrian's return spread like wildfire. A resurrected Omega, scarred and furious, was a threat Vaughn could not afford. Adrian knew he was racing against time. Each night spent close to Ethan was a night Vaughn edged nearer. Still, he couldn't stop himself. One evening, Ethan finally broke. "You're dragging me back into a war I swore I'd never fight again," he said, voice raw. "I have a life here now, Adrian. Students. A home. Quiet." Adrian reached across the space between them, pulling Ethan closer by the collar of his shirt. His voice shook, but his resolve didn't. "Quiet doesn't mean safe. Vaughn will come for you whether I'm here or not. The difference is this time, I'll be standing between you and him." Ethan's breath hitched. Their faces were inches apart, the storm outside reflecting the storm within. For a heartbeat, Ethan let himself lean into Adrian, let himself remember what it felt like to belong. And then he whispered, broken, "If I lose you again, I won't survive it." "You won't lose me," Adrian swore. His lips brushed against Ethan's temple, trembling but certain. "Not this time." That night, Adrian dreamed of fire. But this time, when the flames roared, Ethan's hand didn't let go. The warehouse smelled of gasoline and rot. Adrian stood in the shadows, every scar across his body humming with the weight of the night. Vaughn was here. Hay could feel it in the way the air thickened, in the way silence curled around steel beams like a predator's breath. And Ethan was beside him, stubbornly refusing to stay hidden, even after every plea, every warning. His eyes shone in the dim light, full of fear, full of courage. "Last chance," Adrian whispered. "You don't have to be here when it ends." Ethan's jaw tightened. "I'm already here. I was there when you burned. I'll be here when you rise." The words lodged in Adrian's chest like a blade, but not one that cut him. One that held him up. The doors screeched open, and Vaughn stepped inside. The commander's presence was just as suffocating as Adrian remembered, broad, calculated, radiating dominance like a disease. His eyes narrowed when they found Adrian, alive, standing tall despite the scars. "Well," Vaughn said, his voice a lazy mockery, "the ghost returns." Adrian stepped forward, shielding Ethan without thought. "You should have finished the job." "I thought I had," Vaughn sneered. His gaze flicked to Ethan, lingering. "But fate is cruel, isn't it? It drags broken things back together just so I can tear them apart again." Adrian's body shook, not with fear but fury. "You took everything from me, from us. Tonight I take it back." Vaughn laughed, low and sharp. "You're an Omega, Adrian. A weapon, yes, but never the wielder. Did you really think you could stand against me?" "I don't think," Adrian growled. I know. The fight exploded like lightning. Vaughn moved first, fast and merciless, but Adrian met him head-on. Every strike carried 3 years of pain, of betrayal, of fire that never left his bones. Steel clashed, fists cracked against flesh, and the warehouse roared with violence. Ethan hovered at the edge, heart in his throat, torn between the urge to leap in and the knowledge he would only slow Adrian down. Yet his voice cut through the chaos. Adrian didn't let him control you. Don't fight his way. Fight yours. The words grounded Adrian like anchors. He wasn't just a weapon, wasn't just Vaughn's pawn. He was his own storm. He twisted, countered, and struck with precision born from rage and love alike. Blood splattered the floor. Vaughn staggered, but his grin never faded. Even if you kill me, you'll never be free. You're an Omega, bound, marked, forever cursed. Adrian's chest heaved, his body trembling, but his eyes burned brighter than the fire that once consumed him. You're wrong, he spat. I'm not cursed. I'm chosen. And with one final strike, he sent Vaughn crashing into the steel beams. The commander collapsed, choking, his reign crumbling with him. Silence. Only the sound of rain dripping through the roof, mingling with blood on the floor. Adrian stood there, chest heaving, hands shaking. For a moment, he was lost in the wreckage of what he'd done, of what it meant. And then Ethan was there, his hands on Adrian's face, grounding him, pulling him back. It's over, Ethan whispered. His voice trembled, but his touch was steady. Adrian, it's over. Adrian's throat tightened. I should have protected you, all of you. Instead, I let him stop. Ethan's thumb brushed against his scarred cheek, gentle and sure. You came back. That's enough. You came back for me. Adrian's eyes burned, not with rage this time, but with something softer, something he'd thought he'd lost forever. I don't deserve you, he whispered. Ethan's lips quirked, bittersweet. Maybe not, but I've been waiting for you anyway. The world didn't change overnight. Vaughn's empire fractured, but pieces still lurked in the dark. Adrian knew battles remained. Yet for the first time since his rebirth, he didn't feel alone. Days bled into weeks. Ethan refused to let him vanish again, dragging him into ordinary life, into coffee shops, into late nights grading papers, into laughter Adrian thought he'd forgotten how to make. They argued, they stumbled, but slowly, carefully, they rebuilt something worth living for. One evening, as autumn painted the city gold, Ethan found Adrian on the roof of his apartment, staring at the skyline. You're brooding again, Ethan teased, stepping close. Adrian glanced at him, lips twitching. Old habits. Ethan leaned against the railing, their shoulders brushing. You think the world will ever let us be normal? Adrian was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, maybe not. But as long as I have this, he took Ethan's hand, lacing their fingers together. I don't care. Ethan squeezed back, his heart steady. Neither do I. That night, under a sky littered with stars, Adrian kissed Ethan like a man starved, like a man alive for the first time. And Ethan kissed him back, not with hesitation, but with all the love he'd buried under years of grief. The fire that had once destroyed Adrian became the fire that bound them. Not destruction, but rebirth. From ashes they rose, together. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.